It's D-U-E-U tell. I see you by this point, you're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, man. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, yeah.
Welcome to Football Game Plan's NFL All 32. I am Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and today we're going to preview the Atlanta Falcons. And before we get started, let's take a look at some of the key storylines heading into the Falcons season as we go into our 4-minute offense. One of the biggest moves the Falcons made this offseason was bringing in veteran running back Todd Gurley. Atlanta made this move really quickly, and you can't blame them at all. The run game last year was subpar, 30th in the NFL, averaging only 85 yards a game. What was evident to see last season with Gurley was that he clearly wasn't himself, but even with that being the case, he still scored 12 rushing touchdowns. Atlanta is banking on that being the anomaly season. And what they're getting is the Gurley from the 2018 season, the one who led the league in rushing touchdowns with 17, and one who rushed for over 1,200 yards, being named to his 3rd Pro Bowl and 2nd All-Pro team in the process. A healthy Gurley gives Atlanta something they haven't had since Michael Turner, which is a true game breaker, dependable game breaker at the position. Atlanta doubled down in the first round of the 2019 draft on offensive lineman Kaleb McGary and also Chris Lindstrom. Both guys had their bright spots last season as starters. The Falcons drafted both because 1, they are talented players, and 2, they envision them being the linchpin to the offensive line for many years to come. Now, their emergence in year 2 could allow the Falcons to be even better offensively, but also start to bring in and develop talent elsewhere along the offensive line as they have some aging vets. What could go a long way in making that a reality is if guard Chris Lindstrom, who only played in 5 games last year after recovering from a broken foot, will be out there for a full 16-game season with his classmate McGary so that the continuity and cohesiveness can develop. That is what many will be looking forward to seeing this upcoming season. In the offseason, the Falcons wanted to retool their defensive front 7, making some key changes throughout the depth chart. The biggest coup, in my opinion, was bringing in 2 former first-round picks in Dante Fowler from the Los Angeles Rams and Charles Harris from the Miami Dolphins. They were expected to help bolster a pass rush that only got to the quarterback 24 times last year, ranking 29th in the NFL. Now, they are also expected to replace what they had in Vic Beasley and Adrian Claiborne. Even on the back end, they released veteran corner Desmond Trufant and went ahead and selected stud corner A.J. Terrell in the first round out of Clemson. For a defense that started to play better down the stretch, we'll see if these moves will help them continue that trend as they enter the 2020 campaign. Speaking of that defensive improvement, it pointed to the overall team improvement last season, thanks in part to head coach Dan Quinn doing some reshuffling of his staff, moving guys around to coach different positions and serving different roles, and it yielded very good results. The work that new defensive coordinator Raheem Morris did, going from wide receiver coach and pass game coordinator to calling the defense, was probably the biggest change that the Falcons needed. I mean, one could make the case that he was the most valuable coach last year as the passing game and receivers thrived, then subsequently his defense did very well down the stretch. Now that he's settled in at defensive coordinator, both he and offensive coordinator Dirk Cutter head into the season armed with confidence and a clear direction of where they want their respective units to go in 2020. Matt Ryan is entering his 13th season in the NFL and has been everything the Atlanta Falcons could have wanted at the position when they drafted him 3rd overall back in the 2008 draft. Now, last season he led the league in completions and pretty much played his super efficient and highly accurate self as usual. Now, Ryan is much more effective when he can rely on a run game and not be asked to throw a ton. Some of his best seasons include his lone All-Pro season and MVP season has come when he has thrown less than 600 passes. The hope is that with Gurley, he not only gains a great run game, but a great outlet receiver as well, which could help him reach his optimum efficiency. He's 35 years old. I know it's commonplace now for quarterbacks to play until they're well into their 40s, but who knows if that's Matt Ryan's future, which is why it's important for the Falcons to maximize today with getting him to play his best ball. Adding Todd Gurley to the backfield, the healthy version of course, really strengthens this unit altogether. Gurley gives them a bona fide foundational back that's good on both ends of offense while allowing the depth to serve in more effective complementary roles this upcoming season. Now, it'll be interesting to see how many backs Atlanta will end up keeping, but they do have some really good options available to them. Look at Brian Hill, who gives them a back that can also catch the ball out of the backfield, in addition to his special teams duties. Quadre Ollison figures to be more of a short yardage back, and if Ito Smith can stay healthy, he gives them a back with some wiggle. But the underrated Craig Reynolds, who also has the same elusive chops as well, but has very good speed and plays special teams, could push Ito Smith for that job. Now, fullback Keith Smith is one of the better blocking backs in the game, but keep an eye out for undrafted rookie free agent Mikey Daniel out of South Dakota State. He's a former tailback who's making a move to fullback at the pro level, giving them a different dynamic at the position. The Falcons are straight at their two top receiver spots with Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. Jones is on the Hall of Fame track and is one of the top 2 or 3 wideouts in football. He doesn't show any signs of slowing down and is one of the best intermediate threats in the game today. And Ridley has been a model of consistency for the team since entering the league 3 years ago. He's posted back-to-back 800-plus yard seasons and is the explosive catch and run guy that pairs up perfectly with Jones. Now, where the Falcons will be looking to expand their passing game this year is with the third wideout. Now, the team does like what they have in Russell Gage and what they saw from him last season, and he figures to be first in line to make that job his. Or incoming free agent signing Laquan Treadwell will vie for that role. Treadwell was a first-round flameout in Minnesota and is hoping to resurrect his career here in Atlanta. And I'm excited to see how Olamide Zaccheaus' role expands this season. He's a versatile move piece that does a great job with the ball in his hands. A new look tight end core will be in full effect this year for the Falcons as Austin Hooper is off to Cleveland and former Baltimore Raven first-round pick Hayden Hurst enters the picture. The Falcons traded for Hurst, netting them a plug-and-play starter with skills that are very similar to that of Austin Hooper. And I would expect him to make quick friends with Matt Ryan, giving them yet another dynamic option in the passing game. The expected growth from second-year tight end Jaden Graham out of Yale figures to help solidify the tight end 2 spot on the roster, but it's not guaranteed as Atlanta still found ways to further upgrade the position with undrafted rookie free agent JAREP Pinkney out of Vanderbilt and free agent signee Kyrie Lee coming over from the XFL. Now, Pinkney was one of the top tight ends in the nation and had a stellar week of work at the Senior Bowl, and I was surprised that he went undrafted. But Lee is coming off of a solid season with the DC Defenders in the XFL, blossoming into a dependable receiving option to go along with what he does as a blocker. We spoke earlier about the expected growth and emergence from the Falcons' young offensive line duo of Caleb McGarry and Chris Lindstrom, and if things go according to plan, they have a really good chance of transforming this offensive line from good to great. That could also happen if they're able to continue to develop Matt Gano and are able to see significant strides in his game, along with rookie center Matt Hennessy out of Temple, who was also one of the top centers in the draft and one who could even see time at guard if need be. If he's able to get up to speed pretty quickly, it'll help strengthen the depth overall. Hennessy is viewed as the heir apparent to 12-year vet Alex Mack at center, who is a glue that holds his offensive line together. He played through a lot of pain last year, and so did 10-year veteran guard James Carpenter, who ended up missing 5 games as a result. Those two are long in the tooth, which is why the development of those younger guys behind them is going to be key. Starting left tackle Jake Matthews is still a solid player and will try to regain consistency within his game. And Atlanta has good veteran rotational depth with John Wetzel and free agent signee Justin McCray, who comes over from the Cleveland Browns, where he started 4 games last season. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball for Atlanta, and I think on the defensive interior is where they're the strongest up front. 6-year veteran Grady Jarrett is one of the better young defensive tackles in the NFL. He's a very disruptive presence who's always able to find his way into the opposing backfield, and they got him a very good running mate this offseason with the selection of Marlon Davidson out of Auburn in the 2020 NFL Draft. The versatile defender has the capability to play across the defensive line and shows a wide array of skills to make his way into the backfield. Veteran Tyler Davison was terrific as a free agent signee last season coming over from the New Orleans Saints. He's a very difficult guy to move off the spot and does a great job versus the run. Hopefully, at some point, the Falcons figure out a way to utilize the talents of Dedrin Sinnett because he's too talented to not be out there on the field often, not seeing playing time. Out on the edges is where they made some changes. Again, they struggled in getting to the quarterback last year, so bringing in Dante Fowler and Charles Harris should help remedy that problem. Fowler had his highest sack total of his career last year with the Rams with 11.5 sacks and also racked up 16 TFLs, while Harris was essentially a first-round flameout with the Dolphins, but like Laquan Treadwell, will be looking to start anew here in Atlanta. Allen Bailey would be the other starter at defensive end and is still one of the strongest point-of-attack players in the league. He's legit country strong and is able to win with power on both ends of defense. The team hopes the light comes on this year for Takk McKinley, who started more games last season than ever before, but wasn't able to translate that into production. His fifth-year option wasn't picked up, so he's playing for a contract extension here with the Falcons or a new contract somewhere else. I'm interested to see what growth second-year player John Cominsky can make after making a jump from Division II Charleston last season. He was a raw player coming out of college and got his feet wet last year, mainly on special teams, but will be looked upon to provide good depth as a pass rusher this upcoming season. You also can't forget about Stephen Means, who missed all of last year with an injury. He's another player who played well back in 2018 and factors into the mix this upcoming season. I feel like Atlanta has a really strong linebacking core. They still have one of the better backers in the game with Deion Jones, who's expected to push for a second Pro Bowl appearance. They lost Devondre Campbell in free agency, but they don't expect to lose much, as Foye Oluokun is expected to step up and into that starting role. He brings a lot of the same versatility that Campbell did back there for the Falcons and should be more than ready for the additional responsibilities. They also drafted Michael Walker out of Fresno State, who I'm very high on. He's capable of playing all three linebacker spots and has strong coverage ability as well. I thought he stood out at the East-West Shrine Bowl this past January. And also in free agency, they brought over veteran Deion Buchanan, who sort of set the mold for this hybrid linebacker safety position that we see now into the league when he came out of Washington State, giving them a solid veteran presence and provide depth. Earlier, we talked about the changes on defense for Atlanta and how one of their major moves was drafting AJ Terrell out of Clemson. He does give them a long, lengthy matchup corner that has solid instincts and ball skills, and how quickly he gets acclimated to the pro game will be key, as he'll be more than likely drawing huge assignments each week from the coaching staff. Now, opposite of him is Isaiah Oliver, who will also be looked upon to make significant strides in this game. They really need him to be the leader of this cornerback group, but I think the guy to really watch is second-year player KENDALL Sheffield out of Ohio State. From a fluidity standpoint, he has the best of it within this cornerback group. He's got terrific mirror and match skills that could serve well inside or outside. Second-year player Jordan Miller is in the same boat, in my opinion, as Oliver, as a player who will be asked to make a big jump in his play this upcoming season, and adding veteran help like Josh Hawkins from the Dallas Renegades of the XFL to go along with Bleedy Ray Wilson helps round out a group that'll face a ton of scrutiny this upcoming season. I believe the safety position provides a bit more clarity for Atlanta, as they have one of my favorite players in the game in DeMonte KZ. The fourth-year veteran out of San Diego State can play virtually any position in the secondary and has also earned a reputation as an enforcer on the back end. Both Ricardo Allen and Keanu Neal are really good ball players who have to find a way to stay healthy. Neal more in particular, as he's missed a ton of time the last 2 seasons with injuries. Perhaps that's why the team selected Jalen Hawkins, the safety out of Cal, who saw significant improvement within his game over the course of his career. He's expected to start on special teams before working himself within the regular defense. Both Jamal Carter and Chris Cooper provide solid veteran depth, which allows a guy like Hawkins to slowly grow within his role on his team. Football Game Plan is brought to you in part by 9th & Lux. Visit the website 9thandlux.com and check out the clothing gallery. Nesby Phipps, art, life, entertainment. NesbyPhipps.com. Grind It Out Fitness. Visit the website grinditoutfitness.com and download the app. Financial Coaching LLC. Investment, retirement, security. Stewardship Credit. Financial growth is in your hands. Stewardshipcredit.com. Adrienne Marie Photo. Photographer, writer, management. AdrianMariePhotography.com. Lock Multimedia. Look for undrafted rookie free agent wide receiver Chris Rowland that turns some heads this training camp. The reigning Black College Player of the Year figures to help jumpstart the Falcons' return game, an area where he thrived last season at Tennessee State. I also believe undrafted free agent defensive end Austin Edwards out of Ferris State will stand out as well. He was one of the top pass rushers coming out of Division II in his draft class and is coming off of a stellar week at the East-West Shrine Bowl. Offensively, I think another undrafted free agent could have the biggest impact as a rookie, and that's tight end JAREP PINKNEY out of Vanderbilt. His receiving skills should help him get onto the field in certain packages for Atlanta, and with the way he's able to get open, it'll be hard to not see him have some sort of extended role within his offense this season. Corner AJ Terrell will be as good as advertised in my opinion. I like how he uses his length and athleticism to stay in the hip pocket of receivers, so look for his confidence and productivity to grow with each passing week. Two former Rams will be the biggest X factors on this team. At least that's what they were brought in to be for this squad. And that's Todd Gurley, the running back, who figures to impact the run game and the offense as a whole, and FOWLER, the edge rusher, who will be expected to at least duplicate his pass rushing and disruptiveness that we saw from him last season. If that happens, the Falcons will be just fine in 2020. Look for Caleb McGarry and Chris Lindstrom to break out this season. Both guys are tremendous talents, and 2020 will be the year the rest of the division learns that as well. I also think second-year player KENDALL Sheffield will end up being the best corner on this roster in 2020, making a huge leap in his play this upcoming year, and he's primed to break out on the perimeter. One of the reasons for optimism for Atlanta is the fact that they finished strong to 2019. They went on a 4-game winning streak. They got better defensively down the stretch. And when you combine that with the talent they've added at all three levels, you have to be excited about their prospects in 2020. And again, they got better on defense. That was the biggest issue last year. Complete different team from the first half to the second half. When you look at Todd Gurley coming into Atlanta, having him on this roster and having him healthy really will transform this offense. One of the causes for concern would be if that offensive line takes a step backwards. This was a group that made significant strides last season, and we talked earlier about how Alex Mack and also James Carpenter were long in the tooth and dealt with injuries last season. They're in their 10th, 11th season respectively, or 11th and 10th season respectively, so they're not young guys. And if those young guys that we talked about earlier in the video as well don't take the next step forward, this offensive line could have a whole set of new problems going into the season. And defensively, with all of the changes that they've made within the front seven and also in the back end, if they still can't get to the quarterback, it could be a problem for Atlanta. They have to find ways to sack the quarterback in a passing league. The road to the Super Bowl for the Falcons goes as follows. Number one is an obvious one. If Todd Gurley reverts back to his 2018 form, this offense will look completely different and will be one that will be tough to stop this upcoming season. And if the new defensive pieces elevate this unit, if they're able to get to the quarterback, if they're able to turn the ball over, they could really complement their offense very well. And if a third receiver emerges and thrives outside of the tight end position, Atlanta could find themselves heading down to Tampa for the Super Bowl. I have the Falcons finishing third in the NFC South. I think it's a toss-up, quite honestly, for the second spot, maybe even for the division. I think they're that talented of a football team, especially on offense. Defensively is where I have some slight questions. Maybe if the pass rush doesn't catch fire right away, or if those young players in the secondary don't step up and get ready to go out there on the corners, then they could have some issues. So that's why I have them nestled in at third. But this is a very dangerous team, one that could easily finish first if things click for them on the defensive side of the ball. So that's it for this edition of Football Game Plans All 32. I am Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts, and don't forget to check out and subscribe to the Football Game Plan Network located at youtube.com/footballgameplan. Also subscribe on iTunes to Football Game Plan Podcast and leave us a 5-star rating. That's where you can find our NFL All 32 podcast. And keep it locked here on our Football Game Plan YouTube channel as we have a ton of Falcon related video content coming down the pipe.
It's D-U-E, you tell I see you by this point, you're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, man. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, yeah.